seen the evil I've unleashed. My dreams consumed by fear.
Alrighty, so firstly, thank you so much for all the love on the previous F.E.A.R video. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoyed this video just as much. Let's get right into it. The year is 2009. F.E.A.R hasn't had a new installment since 2005, if you exclude the expansion packs. There was a constant back and forth between Monolith and Warner Brothers with Vivendi over the usage of the F.E.A.R acronym. This eventually led to the Name Your F.E.A.R contest that launched in 2007, where fans were asked to name the second title. Alrighty, let's... Oh, no, that's all we get to see of it. That's fucking sad. Alright, well, you know, I have the opening of the website here, but I don't think I can actually get through to what was on the main website, and that's kind of saddening, truly. Might, like, clicking it wrong, maybe? They came down to 3 names. Dead Echo, my personal favorite, Project Origin, and Dark Signal. Monolith would get the acronym back in 2008 and would choose to use Project Origin as the subtitle. F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin would release in February the following year in 2009. I'm going to talk about the game in 2 different sections, story and everything else. The devs specifically stated they were aiming to fix a lot of the complaints that came with the first game, such as the monotone, repetitive environments and the lack of enemy variety. They would also attempt to hone some of the better received elements, such as the combat and the AI. If you're avoiding spoilers for the story, skip to this timestamp. The story takes a page out of Perseus Band-Aid's book and starts the action 30 minutes before the destruction of the Origin facility. The game follows Sergeant Beckett of the Delta Force team, whose objective is to secure the ATC president Genevieve Aristide. Don't worry, you won't forget anyone's name. The dialogue restates it every time it refers to them, especially Beckett's. Moving forward, Aristide eventually psychically links Beckett to Alma using a machine in the pseudo-hospital that you find yourself in. This somehow causes Alma to develop an attraction to Beckett. It's not explained super well. I'm kind of glad it's not. The whole Beckett-Alma thing is probably the weirdest aspect of the story. Beckett and what is left of his team eventually try to make their way to Still Island, where they will use an amplification device that would make Beckett strong enough to take on Alma, psychically. During the sequence, Aristide, that bitch, locks Beckett into the machine where he must fight off an apparition of one of his teammates in a hallucination, while flashes of Alma raping him in the real world show. Seriously, what the fuck is this ending? Why would Alma raping Beckett be what we went with here? The devs wanted Alma to play a bigger role here and for the game to be about her, which it is, and she does. Why does she have to rape Beckett? I endlessly search for some dev comment that would make this make sense. I've heard some theories that, you know, it's a victim perpetuating the cycle, but sadly, I came across nothing directly from the devs. It seems like the ending here is purely for the shock value of Alma raping the protag. Despite the fact that Alma is more of a tragic character, a victim, that they turn into a predator for some reason, it's very confusing. Anyways, game ends off with her being pregnant with Beckett's child as he is still trapped inside the machine. Okay. That largely covers most of what you need to know about the story, at least what I know of the story. Instead of using the voicemails like they did in the previous game, and the expansions as well, they leave these written logs everywhere. It calls things to a halt, and it kills the momentum of the game. My goblin brain doesn't want to read these when I'm playing the game. I might check these out when I'm browsing the wiki later, but I do not read them while I'm actively playing the game. It's a good thing nothing really useful was in these logs, because boy howdy, I was not reading them. I hate it in Silent Hill, I hate it in Resident Evil, I hate it in Dino Crisis, but at least those tie the logs into the gameplay. The logs here mostly serve to world build. I'll stop talking about these now, I just hate them. Moving on to the graphics, F.E.A.R 2 looks phenomenal for a game that came out in 2009. The look of the game has a lot to live up to when considering the previous game's powerhouse graphics and dynamic lighting for 2005. Unfortunately, a lot of the world's environmental fun, such as the lighting from the first one, the blood effects, and the physical damage you can do is lessened in this one, it seems. The enemies here, while being diverse, are largely hard to tell apart from any other shooter at the time, and largely hard to tell apart from each other here. The changes to the ghost have made them very stroby looking, and it's quite off-putting most of the time, and honestly kind of triggers my epilepsy. The AI feels significantly less smart than the first game, and it even shows quite a bit when you get up close with the AI. Gunfights have lost a lot of what made them fun in the previous game. Not the whole squad, there's still 2 of you left. What is... Bro! Okay. My god, dude. Oh my god. Okay. What made the first game feel so good was how combat felt like I was routinely outsmarting what seemed to be well-trained combatants. Here, aside from the mutants and the fast invisible fuckheads, this largely feels like I'm shooting at toddlers in mech suits with guns. The mech sections are fucking cool, by the way. Even if it feels completely out of place in this game that's trying to emphasize the horror more, the mech sections are very fun. The other off-putting thing is the HUD. The HUD was fine in the original game. It was minimalist and it got the point across. The new HUD feels like something you'd see in an online shooter like Overwatch or maybe in a cyberpunk game. It's a very minor thing, but something that bugged me in the move to 2. To top it all off, they took the lean function out of the game, which I get wasn't routinely used in the first game by most players, but it was something that allowed you to creatively approach a firefight and made you really feel like you were part of the action. I even found in my research about the lean that it was present in F.E.A.R 2's demo, but was ultimately removed in the main game. The weapons are fine, mostly. The shotgun was severely nerfed from the first one, which was fair, but the most OP weapon in the game now is the assault rifle. You can seriously mow through almost every single enemy with ease using the assault rifle. It's actually insane. None of the super powerful weapons, like the rocket launcher or whatever the fuck that blue thing is that you get halfway through the game, feels particularly good to use. The knockoff penetrator feels alright, but a lot of the physicality that made it super fun in the first game seems to be absent in this one. Now, what I can compliment this game on is the game design, the environment. Every level is distinct when it's not some underground place where we get back into the same gray-white patterns. And largely every place feels lived in. The apartment complex, the hospital, and especially the school. I think one of the best horror portions of the game takes place in the school. Levels are phenomenally designed, taking the linear design of the first game, but giving it a much-needed new style. With the previous game and expansions, it's very easy to mix up locations and levels because of the bland, gray design. Not here, though. Each level feels distinct from the last and is layered with details that serve to make the world feel more lived in. Another great aspect is the music. I quite enjoyed listening to the soundtrack of this game, whether it's the low tones or screeching tones of the horror sections or the guitar-ladled rock anthems that play during the gunfights. The composers really knocked it out of the park here. Even if the game feels confused tonally, the soundtrack matches that confusion in a beautiful way. This retrospective so far probably seems confusing, because I talked up a lot of aspects of the game and also talked down in quite a few as well. The game feels like it's stuck in between wanting to be a F.E.A.R game and wanting to be every other modern shooter that was coming out around that time. If I look at it as a F.E.A.R game, it feels like they stripped away a lot of the things that made the original game good while trying to enhance the story but having an ending that makes entirely no sense. It's a bad F.E.A.R game, since I'm spending the whole time feeling like I'd be having more fun playing the original game and its expansions as well. On the other side, there is some really cool horror elements here, and without the idea of Alma being Alma, it is a cool concept to have a supernatural, psychically powerful entity trying to bang you as a story element. The villain falling in love with the protag is cool. I just don't think it works with all of Alma's pre-established lore. So in an overall sense, I think 2 is a poor F.E.A.R game and an average shooter with some really cool horror elements. And, fortunately for me, this isn't where F.E.A.R 2 ends for me, because I still have to play through and talk about F.E.A.R 2 Reborn. Now, I'm going to go on a brief tangent here because I have something I want to complain about. If you go on Steam and you attempt to buy F.E.A.R 2 Reborn by itself, you can't do it, because the entire series, expansion packs, F.E.A.R 1, F.E.A.R 2, F.E.A.R 3, have all been lumped into one pack, where you have to pay like $50 to $56 for it. and there's no reduction on the price, even though I own 5 out of the 6 games. Even though I own 5 out of the 6 games that are presented there, and one of them's not even a game. It's F.E.A.R 2 Reborn. It's a DLC. It's a DLC that I don't have, but because of the fact that I don't have it, it cost me $50 to get just F.E.A.R 2 Reborn. So I'm gonna be completely honest with everyone here. I went to a secondhand site. I bought a key for $1.50. I'm sorry. I want to be completely honest with you going into this. I just think it's ridiculous that I can't get my hands on F.E.A.R 2 Reborn without paying for every single other game that I already own. At the very least, I should get some kind of discount. I'd be fine with paying like $6, $7 for F.E.A.R 2 Reborn. But $50? I'm sorry. I have to go secondhand. Anyways, here's my thoughts on F.E.A.R 2 Reborn. So, in F.E.A.R 2 Reborn, the DLC, you play as Foxtrot 819, a replica soldier that is assisting in fighting off the human soldiers of Armacham. The mission starts with, you guessed it, a mech section. You're just fucking these guys up left and right. Then, sadly, you have to get out. It's cool in the beginning that you're actually fighting alongside the replica forces and you genuinely feel like you're actually one of the team. I actually like the HUD here more than the one in the main game, if only because it actually made sense in the context of us being a psychically controlled super soldier. This aspect is quickly shot away in favor of more traditional F.E.A.R gameplay after Paxton Fettel begins to take over Foxtrot's mind and makes him go AWOL. You then spend the rest of this short DLC making your way to the objective given by Fettel. Interestingly enough, the objectives give off the vibe that they're actually being given by Fettel, which is a nice aspect. There's some interesting ideas in there's some interesting ideas in this DLC that don't really get expanded upon very much. There's some very mazy areas. There's an unarmed portion where you have to kill the first person you find to get a gun. The idea of being a replica soldier is fun, but only lasts for a short while. That's another thing about this DLC. It is incredibly short. I think I beat it in around 40 to 45 minutes or so. Not a bad thing, really. It feels like this could have dragged if it was the length of Extraction Point and the Perseus Mandate. Reborn is fine. There's nothing in it that makes me hate it. If you like the main game, you'll probably like this. Like I said, it's fine. It's not worth $50, so buy it secondhand or find a friend that has it in their library. Not worth what they charge for it, but fun enough to grab it. Overall, I found things to be more of a mixed bag in the F.E.A.R 2 era. I enjoyed aspects of the game. I hate things that they've removed, and I'm very confused by the story choices in this one. But if you want more F.E.A.R, grab this. Don't expect the original game when you're going into it, as 2 is a different beast with similar fangs. Thank you so much for watching part 2 in my retrospective on F.E.A.R. Next time we'll be covering F.E.A.R 3, which, for an interesting dynamic, I'm actually going to be including my friend Moo to play the co-op portion, who has never played a F.E.A.R game before, so you're going to have me, the F.E.A.R veteran, and then you're going to have Moo, someone who's never played a F.E.A.R game. F.E.A.R 3 is going to be her first F.E.A.R game. And we're just going to, we're going to bounce back and forth on thoughts with that. So, very excited, looking forward to playing that with Moo. And thank you so much for watching this video again. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. And I will see you next time. Bye! Gender neutral would be fun. Okay. Anyway, that was F.E.A.R Reborn. Very quick little DLC. Quicker than I actually expected.